Good morning. It's good to see you. I'm Reverend Ron Phares, and this is North Shore Unitarian Congregation. Today we're going to be thinking about the idea and practice of mercy and grace. I hope you all got your tickets for the Spirit Zones after the reflection. Last week you all gave us a ton of good ideas for the Spirit Zones, really amazing stuff, and we will be working that in over time. You know, we didn't work it in necessarily this first week, or probably not even in the next couple weeks, because it's going to take us time to scaffold around those things, but are a lot of fantastic ideas, a lot of community building, and a yearning to get to know one another, and even to get to know oneself a little bit better. So we'll be leaning into those kinds of activities. Thank you for your ideas and patience and memory of the shoe as we break in this new style. Today our service associate is Ryan. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's good to be here this morning.
And what do you know what spirit room you're going to be in today?
I'm going to be right here with Allison.
All right, very good. All right, I'll leave it to you to conduct us into the rest of our service.
To signal the onset of our shared sacred time, I invite Pat Mayer to light our chalice. Pat came to this church because she knew it would encourage her to explore and understand her spiritual self. Oh, we didn't get the thing right. We kindle this flame as a symbol of our gathering. May the light of understanding illuminate our darkness. May the warmth of sharing bring us peace. Welcome to the North Shore Unitarian Church, where our mission is to empower people to live with greater depth, meaning, and purpose. In this community, we celebrate people from all walks of life. No matter how you experience the sacred, no matter who you are or who you love, we hope you will feel welcome here. And now, it is time to sing. So please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing 3 songs. The words will be on the screen or in the order of service.
I don't mean that we sound like a choir, heaven forbid. More like that you sound like people who are enjoying, experiencing singing, and that your faces and your bodies feel the singing. So take a moment, and as you sing, just drop into your body, into your voice, and into your heart, and see, how does this feel? And if it feels tight or dry, wiggle it around and just see, what do I need to do to make this really work for me? And experiment. Here we go. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. They can read and never see. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need, yeah. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our and freedom. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Stronger every day. We are building a new way. We're moving into what does the world require of you now? And that just starts with one line. And then some of you just keep on singing that one line. And I'll start singing the second line. And then some of you can join in on that second line. Some of you will be doing the first. And then I'll move into a third line. And some of you pick up that. So I'm not organizing it. It's just take whichever line you feel comfortable with. So, the middle part. What does the world require of you? What does the world require of... Again. What does the world require of you? What does the world... Some of you keep singing that. The next part goes. Justice, kindness, walk humbly with our world. Justice, kindness, walk humbly with... Some of you keep singing that. Here's the last one. To seek justice and love kindness and walk humbly with our world. To seek justice and love kindness and walk humbly with... Keep it going now. What does the world require of you? What does the world require of you? More. What does your justice require of kindness? What does the world require? That last time. What does your justice require of kindness? What does the world require? I'm going to finish up with Sanctuary, which we introduced to you last week. Jerron introduced to me. It's gorgeous. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy, loved right through, with thanksgiving. We are a living sanctuary anew. Again, feel free to harmonize. There's a truth beyond all knowledge. There's compassion beyond all pain. Yes, beautiful. There's a spirit burning brighter. There's each day holy, loved right through, with thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary. Mwah.
We're going to add a little element to our invitation into prayer, where I will take some stones that I have been gifted or discovered on this very property, and they'll symbolize our cares and concerns. I'll drop them when we read them into the water, our gathered water from our water communion, which I'll add a little bit to this water, as a way of symbolizing our community embrace of the cares and concerns that we bring here. That said, I invite you into the spirit of prayer as we thank the sun, hidden as it is from us today, for its energy, its light, the food it provides for the beautiful leaves all around us. And we thank you, Earth, for holding us close, for giving us structure and our senses. We thank you, water, for life and for teaching us a graceful motion. And we thank you, air, for this breath and for being the medium of our connection. We gather today on the ancestral lands of the Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish peoples, who for generations have taken care of this territory with deep relationship that we hope models for us a way in which we can relate to the land that we now inhabit with them. So we hold in this community of loving care all those joys and sorrows that you bring with you today. And Lord, do we have any milestones?
We do. So some that we missed earlier this month. Freya McNeil Witzel turned 14 years old this year. Jutta Wiedemann will be 90 this year. '91. And let's hold in our hearts and minds Pavel, our bass section lead, who is scheduled to get a new knee next Tuesday at 11 a.m.
We also hold all those thoughts and cares and joys that this community brings that remain in our hearts. And this last stone that I will add reads gratitude. So may our care for one another help lead us into gratitude. We also want to give thanks as our world knits itself slowly back together, as communities across our province are rejoining and families are reuniting. We also want to give thanks for all the care workers, first responders that have seen us through this pandemic, and carry in our hearts those who have been most adversely affected with loss of family members and access. We keep these people in our hearts throughout this service and throughout our week as we say amen, amen, amen. So as I said earlier, today we are reflecting on mercy and grace. To get us started down that road, I've asked our SSA to consider a time when he was affected by one of the two or both, and share with us his thoughts on the matter.
A few years ago, my wife and I went to France for a wedding, or perhaps more accurately, we went to a wedding because it was in France. We rented a gîte, which is an alpine ski cabin, with a couple of my wife's friends and made a vacation out of it. One of the friends is the prototypical absent-minded professor, although I suppose at the time he was only an absent-minded PhD student. He'd intended to take a train from Geneva to Grenoble, but somehow never got around to actually checking the schedule. So while we were having dinner in Annecy, my wife got a frantic text telling her that he had missed the last train and was stranded in Geneva with no car and no money for a hotel. Now, Annecy is about 2/3 of the way to Geneva, so we decided to just head straight up there without going back to our gîte. So we had no passports, no GPS, and no smartphone. All we had was a map of Geneva on my wife's iPad and a vague recollection of high school French. If you've never driven in Europe, they don't have what we would consider street signs. There is a plaque on the side of a building on the far side of the intersection. So if you're looking for a specific street, you won't see it until after you've already missed it. But even before we started looking for the street names, we'd already taken a wrong exit and were hopelessly lost. At that point, we weren't even navigating, we were just trying to find anything on the map that would tell us where we were. But then, something truly inexplicable happened. An arrow appeared on the map showing us where we were, and it moved. That's the sort of thing that we take for granted now, but this wasn't Google Maps, and this iPad didn't have a GPS or a data connection, and it's never done that before or since. I can't offer any technical explanation for what happened, although in my atheist heart I believe that there must be one. Whether it was a modern miracle or the old school kind, it was a miracle of some sort. And perhaps whatever power it was that helped us in our time of need did so because we were there to help someone else in his. We all need a little help sometimes and should offer our help when the opportunity arises. And it just so happens that right now is just such an opportunity. Our plate collection for the fall will be shared with 3 organizations focused on food security. Seed Change, formerly known as the Unitarian Service Committee, works to support farmers and protect biodiversity. Food Stash and Quest Food Exchange both collect food that would otherwise go to waste and distribute it to organizations and individuals in need. So please give as generously as you are able. Will the ushers please prepare to take the offering?
That was amazing. That was almost as good as Ryan's segue into the offering. That was truly, I felt like clapping when you did that. Can I get the kids to come on up here and join me up here for a little bit? Don't all come at once. Come on up here. Oh my gosh. Oh, I am in a bit of trouble. My kids know this already, and maybe you all heard me groan as I sat down. I played basketball with these two for the first time yesterday. For the first time playing basketball in about 20 years, probably. And it is amazing. I don't even know what I did. But I am in agony today and yesterday, and it was hard to get out of bed today because it hurt to sit up, and I wasn't sure how to exactly go about doing that for a little bit. So I am in need of some help, I suppose. And did you guys hear Ryan's story about the iPad and how magically, because his deeply held conviction in the Almighty, he was able to... He just needed direction. That's true. He could have just asked somebody, but said he didn't have very good French at the time. So that would have been a miracle of kind too. But I'm wondering, do you guys ever find yourself in need of a little mercy? Allison does, yeah. Do you guys know what I mean by mercy? This whole side knows what mercy is, and this whole side doesn't know what mercy is. Well, how about does anyone want to take a chance or a stab at saying what mercy is? Yeah, tell me. Oh. No, you did and then you didn't. Okay. Yes, over here. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
You want people to stop doing stuff, yeah?
like when when people yell, mercy!
That's right. Yeah, what do you got?
Or you're about to get shot. Mercy is mercy.
Mercy is mercy.
Yes.
That works. Did you?
In the island, and then of an island that I watch.
Huh.
In a TV show.
Okay. What do you got?
It's like when your teacher decides to extend the project due date at the last minute.
Yes. When your teacher decides to extend the project due date. Now, I know we have at least one college professor in here. So have a little mercy from time to time, all right? Yeah, it's like when you fall down and even you just need a hug. You need someone to turn to take and ease the pain. And the thing about that is, when your teacher gives you that mercy, I think that just like Ryan was saying, you can let that kind of fill your heart and allow it for you to give other people mercy. So what I want you to do this week, because I think probably every week, every single person has a moment or 12 where they could use a little mercy. And you don't always get it, but a lot of times you do. And when you do, allow that to really feel that in your heart and to know that you can do that for somebody else and they will feel that good as well. Okay? Let you sleep in on school days. Mercy, granting mercy does not absolve us from expectations. We're going to be talking about that in about 5 minutes, everybody. So let's sing these kids. We are nailing the segues today. Thank you. So lucky for some of us, we'll be re-engaging with some of them in the spirit zone that we go to afterwards. And all of that wisdom will be there for you to mine. So not long ago, Actually, just a short time, really, as long as, as far as Odin's crows fly, right? There were a couple of old friends enjoying the air in the town square as they played a game. And it was one of those games with, glass beads, and it's a square, and it's full of squares, and you try to deploy your pieces to capture your opponent, right? It was a good match. They had played often, and they knew each other's tactics quite well. More recently, a woman of roughly my age was sweeping a patio made of stone pavers. And in their various dimpled textures, she saw the many facial expressions of her son, who'd been swept away in the national fever dream of war. And the war wasn't going as well as they had once hoped. She set the broom aside, looked down, and watched her son laugh and weep and smirk and yawn through the stones. Nearer yet, an almost no longer young man was in a pub, drained his third pint, leveled what was intended to be an assuring smile at his companion, and said, "Pay attention." Quite close now, a woman wound her way through the market to get to her friend's house, and they were gathering as they did every Friday. But since one of their number had received bad news from her doctor, this week's gathering was particularly important. And then just this morning, someone woke up and found that just putting feet to the floor had become an exercise in agony. But every day between those vignettes, the sun lit the dawn of the world, that eternal dawn. The sun fed the leaves that fuel the food chain, and a billion hearts beat of their own accord. And back in Pompeii, all the pieces shook from the board. And in Hiroshima, the broom lifted from the air, into the air. And then in India, the coronavirus latched on into the weak spots of shared among friends. And yet every day in between, the sun rose, leaves transpired life, people laughed, houses were tidied, and games began. That's a lot to take in. I included a personal reference in that catalog of imagined vignettes because while it's anything but tragic, I think it addresses the catastrophic and the beautiful that I hoped those brief pictures conveyed. You see, it was early days of seminary, and I had gone out for beers with the husband of a classmate. We got on immediately, despite, or maybe because of, the apparent divide between our faith traditions. He was Christian, I was not. Finally, as in all worthy dialogues, we got around to theology, the nut of all stories. Now, I bragged, as I've already bragged to you, and probably will in the future, about how I had bragged about my theology to others in other stories. That I could name my theology in 2 words. Now, for effect, dramatic effect, I drained that third pint, and as if giving a gift in earnest, of which I was proud, I said, "Pay attention." Now, it's a great joke, as well as being a pretty good point, because people think at first you're priming them for what you're about to say, but then they realize pay attention is the thing that you're saying. Anyway, I still think it's pretty good as far as theology goes. I think it still carries water, or as the case was, lager. I was proud of it, and I thought that my non-Abrahamic theological arrow would surely both puncture and encapsulate whatever capital G honky-tonk he was about to lay down. But he just shook his head in the way you do to both agree and alter a previous statement. And he said, I don't know, man. To me, it's all... Now look, when a man tells another man something that begins with, it's all, you know what comes next is either going to be bone true or elicit the kind of distancing smile you give to the wayward, right? So like the time when the topic of one's favorite member of the Grateful Dead came up over an illicit transaction back in undergrad, and the dog-eyed hippie on the other end of the bag said, it's all Jerry, man. He was right. It's all Jerry. And he said it in the same manner as my friend at the bar when replying to my pronouncement that the linchpin of becoming aware of our relationship with the interconnected flow of everything is to pay attention, shaking his head, saying, I don't know, man. To me, it's all mercy and grace. Because that's right too. Grace is a big word. I love it. It's flexible and scalable. It could mean all the good things that happen that we are not responsible for, like our circulatory system, like life emerging from non-life, like our planetary Goldilocks location, the mysterious appearance of an arrow on a map, or the co-evolutionary invitations that allow life here to go bananas, like lucky bounces and near misses and our capacity for joy. This definition allows me to define God as grace given human dimension, which I think and hope satisfies theists and atheists at the same time. But then grace could also mean beauty in motion, effortless precision. It could also mean cutting slack, granting forgiveness, as extending grace to someone. And while that may feel like an effort on behalf of the grace giver, it too has to do with effortlessness, for it is inviting someone else to effort less. Grace also carries a sense of gratitude. Sharing a root word, or the word sharing a root with gratia, right? And kind of like when we say grace at dinner. And certainly, when grace is comprehended, when you really feel the grace in your life, it kind of naturally elicits gratitude. And I think maybe however it is used, it kind of also always carries all of these flavors with it. The thing is, in the midst of all of that grace, there's also every little thing that can go wrong. From belching on the way to your first kiss to volcanoes and plagues. It turns out that tragedy is also scalable, and it has to be said, utterly unavoidable. All love ends in heartbreak. And if you haven't heard it yet, the unwanted diagnosis, the impossible, terrible phone call, it's coming. And I know some of you have already answered that call. More than once, and more to come probably, and more to come if you're lucky. Because that actually means that you love. That it's terrible means that you love. There's no tragedy without love. And that is enough to make you petition the stars, the state, or just your state of mind for mercy. Of course, mercy delivered by what? By whom? Does this plea imply deity or higher power to hear it? Not necessarily. Mercy, I would say, may be a function of any being or a band of beings, human or otherwise, or alternately a function of serendipity, which is to say, grace. But if gratitude is the response to the effortless functioning we know as grace, then mercy is the appeal triggered by the inevitable end of grace. Where grace is a universal coherence that approaches perfection, mercy points to the inevitable impermanence and necessary imperfection of that which comprises that coherence. Where impermanence and imperfection elicit pain, mercy eases that pain. But whether we receive mercy or not, the very need for mercy reorients us to grace, because it emerges from the deep experience of our fundamental existential dependence. And it works both ways. Simply orienting to grace opens us to mercy. When I realize how utterly dependent on grace I am humbled into a kind of low-key, ecstatic gratitude. It's a bit of a relief, really, to know that I'm not responsible for most of the most important things. But the dependence that alleviates my responsibility inspires my sense of connection. Because I am dependent on it actually makes me connected to it. And that inspires a new kind of responsibility. One that is based deeply in gratitude rather than obligation or necessity. And while tragedy can thrust you into that sensibility, it is not a necessary ingredient. Mercy and grace can be seen as the fabric of reality. To recognize our deep need and contingency in the midst of the miraculous mundane is a method of deep connection that invites ecstatic gratitude. To recognize our deep need and contingency in the midst of the miraculous mundane is a method of deep connection and invites ecstatic gratitude. For the need of mercy turns us towards relationship as we realize how contingent we are on those relationships. You cannot connect. And as I've said, I think that's what our entire mission here is. You cannot connect if you are armored all over. The need for mercy conducts us into interbeing in a way that fills our hearts with deep, connective thanksgiving. But to get it, you must admit it. Of course, all that requires, ultimately, is that you pay attention. It's big stuff. Mercy and grace. And after last year, holy cow, we could all use a little mercy and grace in big and small ways. And if you remember one thing from this reflection, let it be this. Think of the people you love. Cut them a little slack. Now think of the people you don't love. Cut them a little slack. Now look at the person 2 chairs away. Now, cutting slack doesn't absolve responsibility. It just makes that responsibility a little bit more loving. As expressions of grace ourselves, it is also ours to amplify that grace through acts of mercy, of gentleness. Now, we can embody this theology and reflect it in our attitude and actions. We can embody mercy and grace. As a matter of fact, we do. It's just about kind of recognizing that we do and then bringing some intention to it. Recognize yourself as grace given. And allow that to induce in you an attitude of mercy. Lord knows we all need it. Volcanoes and pandemics, heartbreak and small mistakes all await. But before and after and in the midst of all that, there are sunsets and circulatory systems and a world yearning for your love, for mercy and grace. And mercy and grace never end. So pay attention. It's all mercy and grace. So we are about to adjourn to the spirit zones, and I think Allison has got us prepped a song to carry us on our way. We'll see you back here after the spirit zones. We'll do just like last week. I think actually Laura is going to come around and sing us back into here. What's that? Helen is. Okay, super.
your cane. Sorry? You knocked somebody with your cane.
So I just take these ones out of the circle and then move into. Oh dear. Is that okay if I take that one? Because there's lots of chairs over there.
All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome. Just please sit yourself anywhere you like. That's great. I'm just going to hand down a bulletin for us all.
Go through here. Thank you.
Could everybody take, Alison, would you mind handing these around to everybody?
And I'm going to collect your purple tickets.
And would you mind taking a piece of paper or two and passing it on? Thank you. One or two. 2 sheets is fine. And take a pen. Everybody have a pen. Everybody grab a pen. Sure, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, I think we're almost there. Trying to put a service together in about 2 minutes is slightly challenging. Okay. Does everybody have a bulletin? Okay. I think we're just about there. Hello, Utah. The paper's just being handed around, so you should all have paper and a pen. Everybody should have paper and a pen. Okay. So to start, this service is going to be a reflective service. I'm going to try and get myself calm. You can all help me get calm.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to ring the bell. Would anyone be open to closing those doors so we have a little bit more quiet? I'm going to play some quiet music for probably about 1 minute. And I invite you to just quietly take the words that Ron has been saying. Let us just settle into ourselves here. Welcome to this Spirit Room Lectio Divina of September the 26th. The next music is Ryan O'Neill singing of being fearful. This song is called 6.
I had the most vivid dream. My feet left the ground. I was floating into heaven, but I could only look down. My mind was heavy, running ragged, with worst case scenarios, emergency exits, and the distance below. I woke up so worried that the angels let go. Oh God, I'm so tired of being afraid.
Today's reading is taken from the writings of John O'Donoghue for Courage, from his book To Bless the Space Between Us. When the light around lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turn cold as stone inside. When you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself, and all you unknowingly leaned on has fallen. When one voice commands your whole heart, and it is raven black. Steady yourself, and see it is your own thinking that darkens your world. Search, and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone, and this darkness has purpose. Gradually, it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires hidden within this night corner. Invoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes. Gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark. That is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. A new confidence will come alive to urge you toward higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty as its most rewarding threshold. When the light around lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turned cold as stone inside. When you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself, and all you unwittingly leaned on has fallen. Have you ever felt like this? Can you go back in your mind to a time when you have found yourself bereft of any belief in yourself, and all you unknowingly leaned on had fallen? I invite you now, if you so choose, to just write a few thoughts that might come up for you on the piece of paper that you have. No one else will see this. When one voice commands your whole heart, and it is raven dark, steady yourself and see that it is your own thinking that darkens your world. Have you ever had a moment where you could see clearly that it was your own thinking that darkened your world? What was your thinking telling you? And could you perhaps, for only a moment, glimpse something beyond that? Now let's listen to this poem again. Let us listen in particular to the second part of the poem, which encourages us to remember and invoke the power within us to find that diamond thought of light. When the light around lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turn cold as a stone inside. When you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself, and all you unknowingly leaned on has fallen. When one voice commands your whole heart, and it is raven dark, see yourself and see that it is your own thinking that darkens your world. Search, and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone, and that this darkness has a purpose. Gradually, it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires hidden within this night corner. To find the one gift your life requires hidden within this night corner. Invoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes, gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark. That is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. A new confidence will come alive to urge you toward higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty as its most rewarding threshold. What is the one gift that your life requires? What is the one gift that your life requires? I invite us all, if you so choose, to light a candle, holding that flame as a light, symbolizing the gift, the one gift that your life requires. going to play a song on the piano, Take Me As I Am. I invite you to join in with me. Yeah, it works. If anyone feels like continuing to light candles, please feel absolutely free. Let us read the poem one more time. When the light around lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turn cold as a stone inside. When you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself and all you unknowingly leaned on has fallen. When one voice commands your whole heart and it is raven dark, steady yourself and see that it is your own thinking that darkens your world. Search, and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone, and that this darkness has purpose. Gradually, it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires, hidden within this night corner. Invoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes. Gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark. That is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. A new confidence will come alive to urge you toward higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty as its most rewarding threshold. So I invite us all to start to gradually, when you feel ready, move back roughly to sort of where you might have been. Maybe put the chairs sort of back where they might have been. And we'll get the computer going, ready for the next part of the service. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Maybe I will. I'll ask you then. Tell me. Oh yeah, I need a microphone. All right. So folks, I would love to get your feedback on what worked, what didn't work, what would you like to see more of or less of?
Did you take your mask off?
I can take my mask off, yes, thank you. The candles are right there. We still have them lit. So any feedback? I know we have some folks still at home.
I thought it was lovely. I like the meditation too.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was Stuart just saying he thought it was lovely and he likes the meditation too. Any other thoughts? Was the music too loud, too quiet, too slow, too fast?
The music was great, and I love the fact that the transitions were, and once you kind of come down in this plane, it's really nice to have the transitions just go really gently from one thing to the next, so that was really good.
Yeah, it was a big transition, interestingly. It felt like from the service energy to a more meditative, reflective energy. And I see there are children coming up, so let's have them come in. Come on in, everybody.
Welcome back, everybody who left, and I hope that you all felt the activities that you took part in were meaningful for you. We are a busy congregation with a lot going on, so please read your weekly e-bulletin, but there are 3 key announcements I particularly want to draw your attention to, and the first announcement is about the announcements. As I just said, we are doing 3 in a service. No more, maybe sometimes less. There's also a new way to submit announcements. Janny has created a form that you can fill out, and you can find that link in your e-bulletin, as you should expect by now. The Jedi Forum about the CUC's Dismantling Racism Study Group report will be this Tuesday at 7 o'clock right here in the sanctuary. And if you plan to attend, please read the report ahead of time. And finally, we have hired our Sunday facilities coordinator. It's our own Annabelle Coward, and she will be helping Laura set up and transition the spirit rooms and also setting up the bagels that you will be enjoying later right now. So when you see her, you can thank her. And next week's service will be on heartbreak and gratitude, so watch your e-bulletin for descriptions of the spirit zones. And now I'd like to give an extra welcome to any newcomers who are joining us today or are joining us from home. We're glad that you're here. If you'd like to learn more about our community, I encourage you to sign in with your contact information with the iPad out in the foyer, or click the link in the YouTube description to subscribe to our newsletter. If you have any questions about our congregation or Unitarian Universalism, any of our friendly volunteers wearing greeter buttons would be happy to chat with you. And after the service, I invite everyone from longtime members to first-time visitors to join us downstairs for coffee, tea, and conversation. We extinguish this flame. The world calls us to live with depth, meaning, and purpose.
Please rise for the benediction as we leave this sacred place, this sanctuary of safety, of where grace and mercy can be cultivated and our ability to pay attention can be made manifest. Let us take the experiences that we've had here together, that we've created with one another, into the world as we go forth from this place. Let us do so in peace, and let us go singing. All right, bagels and coffee. Unitarian Communion.